inspiration.
Kroger people have never...
After 3 straight weeks away from home, the Bearcats return to Nippert Stadium and roll up some big numbers and round to a 44-12 win over Ball State. Inside UC Football, an in-depth look at the University of Cincinnati football program, featuring head coach Tim Murphy, presented by your friends at Kroger. And brought to you in part by the Cincinnati Gas and Electric Company and by Miller Lite. Welcome to Inside UC Football, and the Bearcats, after being away from home for what seemed to be quite a while, returned to Nippert Stadium and post a 44-12 win over the Ball State Cardinals. And Tim, this was a game where everything just seemed to fall in place rather nicely.
Yeah, Paul, that was our most complete win as a team this season. We got good performances in virtually every aspect of our football team, and we just got on a roll early, and one thing played off another, and then we got the kickoff. We covered the kickoff in the end zone, and really didn't look back from there.
You had 3 straight games away from home in which you played relatively well. How much of a difference and how much of a help was it finally being at home again?
Well, like Dorothy says, there's no place like home, but I think our staff was really pleased with the effort and in general the performance of our kids on the road at Syracuse, at Tulsa, and at Vanderbilt. Unfortunately, we only got 1 W out of that one, but remarkably, we actually built some confidence from how well we played, how much poise we played with, and how much emotion we played with. And you know, it's the same old thing for us, and I think our kids have really bought into it. If we really prepare, we really focus, and we play with a lot of emotion, we're a good football team. And our kids really believe right now. They're giving us everything they have, and as coaches, you know, you can't ask for any more.
And as you look at the way your defense played in their first series, the confidence was very obvious.
No doubt about it. You know, we got 11, 15, 17 guys we can play on defense with excellent quickness. And there's a lot of things you need to play defense, but number 1, I think, is quickness. Number 2 is speed. And you know, we got some guys like Pat John who can just run, and you know, we're getting a lot of black hats to the football.
What about your concerns of Ball State and their offense coming into this game?
Well, naturally, Paul, I was concerned that they had a good balanced offense, a real solid offensive line, and maybe the premier quarterback in the MAC. And but we still said going in, we got to shut down their run and make them throw the football, and I think we did that. They did not want to get into a situation like they had at Toledo last week, and we wanted to force them into that situation. I think our staff did a good job implementing a game plan, and then I thought we did a good job mixing up and changing it, give the quarterback different looks.
Once your team got the football, and we see the start of what was another outstanding night for David Small.
Well, Dave Small just keeps on rolling, and you know, all he does is get yards. And you know, I think we just did a good job mixing things up. I think our staff again did a good job devising a game plan that could keep them off balance. And we made some big plays, which was the biggest difference from this week and maybe a few other weeks. We made a lot of big plays on offense.
Certainly did, and it seemed as though during the course of the season, this is the one game where the offensive line really came together real well, too.
Well, the offensive line has played pretty well all year long. I think just making some big plays in the passing game took some heat off the running game, allowed us to get yards down the stretch in the running game, but we got some easy scores in the passing game when they played man coverage or they overplayed in their zone coverage. And when you can do that, it just makes everything look easy. It isn't necessarily easy, but everything looks easier.
And then we see another of what were a few missed opportunities on the night to end up getting 6 rather than 3.
Yeah, I think the only, it's picking hairs to really find some negative things about the game, but there's always room for improvement. I think we could have, in the red zone, we should have settled for touchdowns instead of field goals, and that's something that we're going to continue to work hard on.
As we get a chance to see your defense, the pressure that your ball club has been able to put on opposing quarterbacks has really been worthy of notice.
Well, I think playing more guys helped. You get Chris Swing and Dyron Bolar there, and those kids have really come on up late, and they can give Ernest and Bobby a good rest. And then there's Reggie, who's just you know, a real consistent guy. If we can play 17, 18, 19 guys, then it's going to make it easier down the stretch.
Is that getting you more toward the depth that you've talked about for so long you've wanted?
It is, Paul. We've got, you know, our defensive line has really come along. I think Hank Hughes has done a nice job with those kids. If Rob Robinson can get healthy to factor in at one of those inside spots, then it's really going to help us.
We get a chance to see Byron Jenkins contribute the way that he has in the past, and I know you're happy to have him back involved.
Well, Brian Jenkins can do a lot of things. Everyone's seen him on special teams for years now, but he can catch the ball. He's done a great job on reverses, and we got about 4 or 5 guys that we have to find different roles for him. And Brian, he's a guy that if you can get him the football, he knows what to do with it.
And an experienced player in the midst of a bunch of young wide receivers.
Exactly right. And each guy has his own strengths, but in the open field, Brian's probably the best we've got. He's not the biggest target, but we're going to find ways to get him the football.
We saw David Small punch it in from the goal line here, and your football team seems to have really developed a great success rate of punching the ball in when you've gotten down close.
Well, we've been 100% this year, and I know Coach Harry Heastan, he's the guy, along with the rest of our staff, that mainly works with the goal line offense. Our kids and our coaches take a lot of pride in it. We get a lot of reps in it. We do half line, so we try to double the reps in practice, and we've been very good down there. We've done a good job with our consistency in punching the ball in.
The first quarter ended up being a 10-0 lead, which, of course, in the large scheme of the game is not a wide margin by any stretch, but your numbers were really quite awesome.
Well, we were, I won't say surprised, Paul, to get off to such a good start, but we just get on a real roll early. Everything just seemed to click. I did not want to settle for a field goal on that first field goal, but other than that, you know, the running game was good. All of a sudden, we started to click on a few passes. Then we hit a few big plays, and the gates just kind of broke open.
We'll be back with more highlights of the UC Ball State game, so stay with us here on Inside UC Football. Ten nothing going into the second quarter of play, and this was the period, Tim, where things really seemed to roll well for your football team.
Well, we hit some big plays. We made some big plays on defense. We hit a couple big passes offensively, and did some outstanding things on special teams. And we played some outstanding halves of football at home. Obviously, at Austin Peay, we had a big lead at half. We had a big lead at half against Miami, and we found ourselves somewhat in the same position against Ball State. I won't say surprisingly, except that, again, that's kind of charting new territory for our football team, but we'll gladly take it and live with it. And, we'd rather be ahead by 30 than down by 30.
It seemed as though this type of an explosion from your football team was kind of on the verge of coming, and this was just an arrival of it.
Yeah, I think it was, Paul. You know, we talked to our kids about we haven't played our best football game, and I still believe we haven't. But our kids really play hard. They have a lot of fun on Saturday night. They like playing at Nippert Stadium. They like playing at night. They like playing in that place, and they're just getting excited about playing. They have a lot of confidence in themselves. We're not making a lot of mistakes. And, you know, all of those things equal good football. If we can continue to do that and prepare the way we have and, you know, stick together, then we're going to be fine.
Does it seem as though when there are a number of new people in new roles as far as starters and things like that, that folks are getting comfortable with who they're next to and what they're doing?
Yeah, I think, Paul, obviously as the season's going on, we're becoming a better football team, and that's the name of the game. We're a heck of a lot better football team than we were game one or game two. We've got to continue the development. We've got to be a better game against Toledo than we were against Ball State, so on and so forth.
It seemed as though the balance that you've sought for so long and talked about so much really seemed to come up last night.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been really happy with our balance. I honestly feel like we could have completed some more passes. I'd like to get that percentage up, and we're capable of it. But Lance made some really good reads. That's just a three-step drop thing. Knifes it right through the zone coverage, and Albert Sweet makes a great run after the catch.
The wide receiver position we've talked so much about. You had a lot of questions going into the season, but your two youngsters really have come up big at moments for you.
Well, I've said all along, I feel good about our wide receivers. What they need to do is, as a group, we need to practice the way we want to play, and I think Albert had a great week of practice. Sean has given us that all year long. We need to be able to play 4 or 5 guys, and we need to be able to make big plays when they present themselves, and that's the thing I was most pleased with. Not just catching the ball, but making the big play when it presented itself.
You've talked so much about trying to get speed in that area. Are you getting where you want to be in that category?
We have more speed than we've had there, but we could have more speed at wide receiver. We've got some young kids like Anthony Ladd and James Scott that have speed, but you have to have a mix of guys that can play ball control and be able to make the big play.
Now, at this point of the game, Ball State's starting to show some offensive punch for the first time of the night.
Well, they have a good offensive football team, and we've certainly seen them put points on the board. You know, I think our defense played very well. I think we got hurt by a penalty at one point later in the game that extended the drive. But overall, our defense played extremely well. We kept pressure on the quarterback all night. We got great under coverage. I think we changed up on him. I think our coaches did a good job changing up on him, and the kids did a good job stemming looks late. And I think it confused Mike New a little bit. And nothing was easy for them offensively all night. And a couple of those things happened. You get a couple black helmets on a guy, and that's what's going to happen, though.
Well, and you talked about the play that your special teams made. Kick returns, kick coverage, defense offensively, and it seems as though that's something that's also come a long ways.
Our kids are having fun on special teams for the first time. They're realizing how important it is. They're realizing how much effort we put forth in practice to try to make it do a good job on game day. And you know, we got some fast, crazy guys on special teams, Paul, and you know, that's the name of the game.
And then again, we get a chance to see your offense and throwing the football coming up with big plays.
There's another fast, crazy guy, Albert Sweet, too.
The speed aspect, as well as size and strength, is something that you've talked about for years. You knew that was going to have to take big leaps.
Paul, besides numbers, when we came here, the lack of numbers, I think the biggest problem, I think you can develop strength, but you have to recruit speed as well as develop it. And I think we've done a pretty good job recruiting speed. We're never fast as the coaches want to. We'd like to have track guys at every position, but we've certainly made a lot of progress there.
We saw the last touchdown. That was followed by a special teams touchdown with a fumble recovery in the end zone. That had to really send it on.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach Hank Hughes told those guys all week. He put a clip on of a team, of one college football team in the Southeast Conference, says, hey, this is the way we want to do it. And they just had 11 crazy men running down 100 miles an hour. And that's the way our guys played. We've developed a couple guys that are getting to be real superstars in that unit.
Back with a look at second half highlights from UC Ball State when Inside UC Football continues. Ball State 31-6 going into the second half of play. The biggest Bearcat lead in a football game since they had a 34-point edge over Cornell in 1983. And Tim, probably the biggest one you've enjoyed was 2 years ago at Louisville. I think it was 31-0 at that point. With this kind of an advantage in the locker room, getting ready for another half of football, how do you approach it and what do you say to your players?
Well, it wasn't hard to approach our kids on this lead because they had seen the week before a 30-3 lead just disappear when Ball State played Toledo in almost less than a quarter. So, I mean, our kids fully understood the capabilities of Ball State to come back. We had really preached the importance of playing 4 quarters of football, not just 3.5. And I think the combination of those factors, we came out hard. And there's a guy, Hewitt, right there. He's one of the crazies on the kickoff team and the special teams, and he just runs over one of our guys and one of their guys. But we knew we had to come out and play football, put points on the board, and doing that on the first drive really solved some of our problems. This is just a screen pass here to Sean Stewart that goes to the house. That's, you know, the way you're supposed to draw it up, and it's nice when it works like that. Great effort to get in the end zone.
And we saw Albert Sweet do that a couple of times during the first half, and these guys really seem to have developed a knack for the end zone.
Well, they have developed a knack for the end zone, at least recently, but again, in college football, humility is only 1 week away sometimes, so, you know, we have to develop some consistency in the passing game. We've developed the ability to throw the football. Now let's develop some consistency in doing it.
We see more of David Small, who ended up with another 100-yard-plus night, and it seems as though, having watched him for his 2.5 seasons or so, he's just so awfully consistent, and the longevity is what seems to be the great factor.
Well, he is consistent, Paul, and that's the thing. When you have performance out of players, you want to see them do it week after week after week, and David certainly has shown the ability to do that. And in college football, that's what will separate you from other guys if you can do it from week to week to week. The kid doesn't fumble the football either, which helps, and very tough, very physical, and you know, those combinations of things, he's got him back on a little bit of a roll in 1993.
Kind of an amazing story for a guy who, coming into the program, really very little was known or expected of what he could do.
He wasn't highly recruited, Paul, but I think our coaches have done a pretty good job finding some kids that maybe were not highly recruited, but we felt could be outstanding major college football players, and that's the key to success. It's not recruiting against Notre Dame head-to-head because you're not going to get big returns on that necessarily.
It has to have been enjoyable for yourself and for the coaching staff to see the players starting to really enjoy themselves as well as playing well.
You know, football is a hard game to practice. It's an awful lot of work, Paul. The fun is in the games, and the fun is in winning. And, you know, the thing I'm happiest with our players is that they are having fun. And that part of it's because of the style of football we're playing, and part of it is, you know, the outcome and the performances we've gotten.
I guess in looking at this football game, what probably should be pointed out is that this was a victory over a quality opponent.
This was a good football team. We will play better down the stretch. We may play a better team at Toledo next week, but it was a good, solid Division I football team, and we put a pretty good licking on them.
At this point of the evening, you're able to start getting more people involved that haven't normally played. Are you getting a chance to see some things from younger players?
Yeah, well, Paul, we also tried to get some of those guys involved earlier in the game, and I know that we did in the first half, which was something we had really designed. But also getting in some guys who would not normally play or haven't played maybe since the Austin Peay game, you know, that's a bonus. That gets the starters out of the game. You don't risk getting them hurt, and gets the guys to have some fun. Gets a reward for what they do between Monday and Friday.
We had a chance a few plays ago to see what was a near miss at an interception that could have gone the other way for six. You've had a few of those.
Bojo's had a few of those, and I might be mistaken, but I think he's one off the all-time record. He's going to get it. He's one of the all-time great corners to play at Cincinnati. He's just a wonderful kid to coach.
What is it about him? Is there an individual quality of his ability?
There's two things. Obviously, he's an outstanding athlete, but there's a lot of outstanding athletes playing Division I football. Bojo has tremendous instincts, and he is absolutely tenacious. He's the same way academically. He's the same way in his devotion to his family, and he's the same way on the football field. And you know, that quality is, as someone said, is you know, just the most important thing. Talent is great, but if you don't have that tenacity, it doesn't matter. And I think he's really a great illustration of that.
As we see things move on now into the fourth quarter, this is the 6th time this season that your football team has taken a lead into a fourth quarter.
Paul, I think that really gives you an indication of how far our football program has come. In 6 out of our 7 games, we've had the lead in the fourth quarter. That's a major, major transformation for this football program. I'd be interested in talking to our sports information people, see when the last time that happened. It's 6 out of 7 or that many, because I think that gives you an idea of how far we've come.
You wanted to get Eric Vibbert some snaps at quarterback. He was able to play last night. Tell us a little bit about him leading up to this and what you thought of him last night.
Well, I'll tell you, I should have got him in earlier. However, he did get some significant playing time, and he responded very well. I was impressed with his athletic ability on the option and some improvisational things he did on the play-action passes, and he made good decisions, and that's the key. And here's a real good improvisation to get the ball to the flat to Mike Guzda with a guy in his face, and those are the type of things you look for. What's he going to do under pressure? He's going to make the right decision. How are his mechanics? His mechanics were sound, and he made some things happen.
Well, and again, next season you're looking at a quarterback change with Lance's eligibility up, so an important testing ground, I would say.
Yeah, I don't want to start looking forward to next season, but I think we've got some fine young quarterbacks, certainly potentially in the program.
You got Daryl Harding a chance to get in the game. Is he getting back closer to 100% at running back?
Well, Daryl Harding is, and so is Cradell. And, you know, Daryl quietly has averaged 5 yards per carry. And it's nice to get Kenny Fowler gets a pick there. And got a lot of guys in the game that maybe aren't getting a lot of playing time.
As a game like this concludes, and you get all of these people involved, and they do some significant things, how can that help in spilling over to the consequential weeks?
Well, I think it helps from the standpoint that the kids feel a part of it. They know that there's a reward there if we get in that situation again. And I think it helps our team unity. Kids just feel more part of it. They get to play. Obviously, we can't play everybody, but we've had a couple home games this year where we've played an awful lot of football players.
Were there any significant injuries or concerns in that regard that come out of this football game?
I'll have to talk to Bill Walker this morning, but the one I'm concerned about is Jason Koppas. I probably have a tendency to overreact on Sunday, but our medical staff just does a great job with our kids getting them back. But Jason Koppas is one of the guys, like Bojo and Nate and Ernest and Bobby, that are just, you know, the heart and soul of our defense. He's a guy we can't afford to lose.
We saw one of the quarterback sacks on the night. 4 quarterback sacks for a negative 36 yards for the opponent. An impressive number on an impressive night for your defense.
Well, I think it's impressive because this line, their offensive line, had done a really solid job of protecting the quarterback, and we felt getting pressure was certainly a big part of our having a chance to beat these people. And again, I think we executed the defensive game plan pretty well.
Over 560 total yards offense, an impressive number.
Well, it's not a bad night, not a bad night at the track, Paul. I think, number one, good execution. And number two, we made some big plays, and the combination of those things is going to open the floodgates, and that's what happened.
And as nice as that number was, the total net rushing for Ball State, 34 yards. A great night for the defense.
Well, it was a great night for the defense, and we put some back-to-back. We felt we had to stop their running game to make them throw. That's what we did, and anytime you can dictate their game plan and dictate the tempo, then you got a chance.
We'll have more of Inside UC Football, including a scouting report of the next Bearcat opponent when we return. Back and we look again at some of the concluding moments of the UC Ball State football game. Tim, you talked about it was a game of a lot of big plays, and what we get a chance to see here was one that started off as a small play that just exploded.
Well, Paul, the play we have illustrated is called gun trips left, jailbreak screen. Basically, actually was trips right in the game, but the bottom line is this is a pass that you catch for 0 yards behind a line of scrimmage. The offensive line releases immediately. You get the defense upfield trying to attack the quarterback in the shotgun formation, and basically it looks like a jailbreak because you got guys in black hats running everywhere. with Sean Stewart, number 4, catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And our offensive line did an outstanding job getting hats on everybody. Sean kind of picked his way through the jailbreak into the end zone. But it does wonders for the pass efficiency because it's a 0-yard catch and a 65-yard run.
And as we get a chance to take a look at it, this was the primary call? This was not a change of the line of scrimmage?
No, this was the primary call. We try to get this call once every couple of games. And again, Stewie did a great job picking his way through the mess. And then he shows those 110 high hurdle skills here as he was a good hurdler in high school and gets the thing in the zone. Albert Sweet tries to belly flop on top of him there.
And just another indication of what was a big night for your 2 young wide receivers.
Well, it was. Again, we felt like if we could get the ball to those guys, if we could run precise routes, get good protection, then we could make some big plays in the passing game, and they were susceptible to that, and fortunately, that's the way it worked out.
Next up, the Toledo Rockets, a team that you have to play up in northern Ohio, a football team who lost yesterday but has been very tough at home.
Well, they've been extremely tough at home. They've been probably the second-best team in the MAC for the past 3 or 4 years. And they play extremely well at home. And they're a little bit of a wounded team right now because they certainly expected to be right in the thick of things. But, you know, sometimes a team with its back to the wall at home like that is the most dangerous kind. And, you know, we just believe that we've got to go and play our best football game. And I think when our kids see these guys on film, and they've been an outstanding defensive team, no one has run the football on them, that I think our players will understand what needs to take place this week in practice.
You know, with the people you see in the Mid-American Conference, it seems that you see the best in that league.
Yeah, we're not playing the Patsies. We're not playing the Patsies in that league, that's for sure. But I think it's nice to have some of those interstate rivalries, teams that we can play in year out. Those teams have fared extremely well against outside competition, again, including the Big Ten. They really, really get jacked up to play the University of Cincinnati because they come in here to recruit. And, you know, it just makes sense to have some of those games on our schedule.
Your team's had some success on the road this year. What kind of difference and what kind of help is that?
Well, I think the stretch that we had, Syracuse, Tulsa, and Vanderbilt, Paul, I think we're going to use that to our benefit, knowing that in those 3 games, we took a lead into the 4th quarter. If and when that happens at Toledo, I know that we're gonna see it through and get the win.
Because in part of exercising the 4th quarter demons last night?
Well, I think we exercised the demons to some extent, but obviously last night was a situation where, you know, the thing was basically out of reach. I think even if there is a close game, we're going to find a way to win, similar to what we did at Tulsa. And, you know, the opposite of what happened at Syracuse and Vanderbilt.
Well, and after a game like the Ball State game, certainly the players' confidence seems to be that much higher.
Well, confidence is a great thing, Paul. Winning begets winning. And they're sold on how hard we prepare, how much focus we have, and how much emotion you have to play with. And if we continue to do those things, we'll continue to win.
Well, good luck Saturday.
Thanks very much, Paul.
And we hope you'll join us again next week here for the highlights of the UC Toledo game on Inside UC Football. Inside UC Football, an in-depth look at the University of Cincinnati football program, featuring head coach Tim Murphy, presented by your friends at Kroger, and brought to you in part by the Cincinnati Gas and Electric Company, and by Miller Lite. This has been a University of Cincinnati production. Well, the Bearcats once again enjoy success on the road.